This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day, carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Fully Managed Podcast. This is a podcast where we discuss marketing and business tips to help assist you guys in your business journeys. I'm your host, Daniela, and I'm Penji's partnership coordinator. Today, I'm joined with a very special guest, Alexis Young from, oh my gosh, I forgot, Delegator. I was about to say deceased. I'm sorry. Terrible host abilities. I'm sorry, everyone. That was so rude of me. I don't know why my brain sort of short circuited, and the only word that I had going through my head was deceased. I think because it went on the autocorrect on when I was writing the paragraph down. But thank you so much, Alexis, for being here. I'm very excited to have you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Danielle. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you. To kind of break the ice a little bit and get us started, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, about your work at Delegator, everything we need to know about you.
Absolutely. So I'm a senior digital advertising strategist at Delegator, which is a PPC advertising firm based out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. We work with a variety of companies across various industries, focusing on improving their overall PPC efforts. And then we also have a full service creative team that can do in-depth website designs, um, creative ad work, and so forth. And so we really have a wide net of items that we can offer. And I've been with them just about 4 years now, which is great. In my role as a senior digital advertising strategist, it's my job to work with clients, build those client relationships, manage projects, work with other members of our team to put in strategies that are effective and hit those ROAS goals. Before joining Delegator, my experience started after college with digital marketing with various financial institutions. I worked for banks and credit unions establishing their digital marketing. This really ranged from organic and paid social to email marketing and so forth. And before that, I did digital marketing for politicians out in DC, nonprofit museums, and a few other random industries in there. But it definitely has been a full ride before I landed in agency life, and it definitely has helped broaden my horizons.
Amazing. Yeah, I think that's really interesting. You have definitely got the experience to be here, but although I do have a lot of questions prepared for you, we do have a little activity planned. Before we get started, we have a little segment of the podcast called Roast Your Industry. I want you to basically tell us the funniest or most horrifying situation, um, story, if you will, that you have encountered with all of these years that you have been working in marketing, whether it was with Delegator, whether it was before that. I love hearing people's horror stories. I have some of my own. So, floor's yours.
Oh gosh. When you work in digital marketing this long, I think you probably have more than one. Horror. I'm trying to think of a more recent one. Um, let's see. Oh my gosh, Daniela, this one is gonna get me. Um, In one of my, I'll take it back a little bit farther. In one of my first professional roles as a digital marketing specialist, I was building organic channels and organic social media feeds. And one of the posts I put up did not match the image. Hold on. Sorry. I just feel like I'm gonna have to like rework this. All right. Um,
Embarrassing time. Or horror story.
oh my gosh. I'm sorry, Daniela. Can I take time to think about this one and can we come back to it?
Yeah, you can. You can. No
Okay.
worries. Um, yeah, we can. You also don't have to answer it, so we can cut that off there.
I'm having the hardest time coming up with one, and I know there's plenty, but my brain is
Is
frozen.
dead. That happens to me. I almost called your company diseased. So I guess that's probably worse. That's gonna be my horror story because what kind of host does that?
Okay, I'll think on that one, and if I come up with one, can we just like circle back at the end?
Yeah, we can. Don't worry
Okay,
about it.
cool.
Now to get started on the actual questions, why don't we talk a little bit about Delegator, not deceased, and tell us a little bit about what you do there, what your role is like. How did you end up working here? Just a little bit of background before we sort of get into the nitty gritty.
Absolutely. So I came to work at Delegator. I actually was working in the financial industry as a digital marketing specialist when someone from Delegator reached out that they had an opening they thought I could be a good fit for. I came into the group. At the time, I was happy with my current role. I was pretty set. I wasn't looking for a change. I took the interview just to see what was out there. It ended up just being a great fit. I loved the people I met with. I loved their structure and how their agency was working with different companies. And the interview went so well that they kind of convinced me that I should make a career change. And so that's how I came to join the team. I joined the team originally as a strategist. And then about a year ago, I was promoted to a senior strategist, which was so exciting. In my role today, really my job is to work with clients to build strategies for their digital marketing, specifically on the paid ad side. This includes Google, Microsoft, Meta, Instagram, any of the social channels, any of the big search engines. We do it all. And so it's my job to work with the client as well as other members of the team to solidify a winning strategy that will help the company hit its goals and then maintain those client relationships, work on the project management side to make sure projects are getting done on time and the client continues to grow and grow and grow. Um, there's also fun things I get to do internally, like welcome new team members, manage interns, fun things like that. And so really is a full service agency for PPC and creative. And so it's a lot of fun.
Awesome. And I think what's really interesting to me when I was doing research on Delegator is that you guys, um, your sort of focus is very much on data driven type of action, right? So you focus very much on data and then take action from that. Um, which I'm curious about because I feel like nowadays there's so much data that we have from digital marketing specifically, right? Especially that comes from like paid ads or organic or whatever type of marketing, whether you're doing it online. There is a lot of analytics that not even a business, but just a normal person has access to. Like if I put my Instagram on business on public, I get analytics for it, even though I have like 600 followers, like I get like demographics and age range and who's watching like this one post. And so I feel like, a lot of times that can be very sort of overwhelming. Um, and interesting, I think, especially for like a business owner who is just starting and has never had any contact with this type of stuff. Um, with all of this being sort of ever evolving, because I'm assuming that it's just going to keep getting more and more detailed. Um, how have you guys adapted to all of these industry changes and shifted to benefit the clients, to, I guess, teach them about how they can leverage all of this data to help them with their marketing strategies, etc.
Absolutely. And you're so right, Danielle. There is a lot of information out there these days, which is a blessing and a curse in so many ways. And I think that's really a big part of finding success, especially on paid advertising, is knowing which metrics are important and which ones affect your bottom line. And so that's our big thing at Delegator is we like to take in all the analytics ourselves. We always, the numbers tell a story, right? They're going to tell you what's working, what's not working. Follow, in a lot of cases, it's follow the people. Um, and so we spend a lot of time looking at the numbers on all scales. But when we take it back to our clients, the story is more take the numbers, tell the story, and then with the story, what is next? Using the numbers to set the stones for what's next and how do we continue being successful. So I think a big part of looking at analytics in today's world is knowing which numbers affect your bottom line and how you can read those so that you can use them to continue improving.
Yeah, I think what I also wanted to ask you about is how do you sort of balance numbers versus wants and desires, needs? I feel like I've sort of run across a lot of companies, agencies, call it whatever, where they struggle to find that balance because they're either too data driven and they're sort of just trying to do everything based on data, um, to the point where it starts to feel robotic. And people who have been sort of doing like ignoring data, like seeing the data there, telling them like this is not working, but then they're like hell bent on being like, no, but I love doing this. Like I want to keep following this strategy. I want to keep making this type of content for my business, or I want to keep uploading on this channel, whatever that strategy is. And that there's no in between of sort of balancing that data side with that creative side and that sort of like fulfillment of what you want. How do you work around that with your clients?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. And it does come, there are those people who say, this is how we've always done it. So this is how we want to keep doing it. And that is such a hard statement or a mindset to be in because you've always been doing something one way or because you find it fun doesn't always mean it's what's best for your business. And so sometimes you do have to have those hard conversations of it might be time we pivot because the numbers are telling us this isn't the right route for you. And that's never it's not always a fun conversation. It's not always easy, but the hope and the goal of breaking into that is that we're going to get on a better path. We're going to follow the numbers. And I do think those two things have to work a little bit hand in hand. It's in a lot of cases, it's your business. And so you may know your audience the best. And so there might be, I'll make an example up. Maybe you do one organic post about your dog every week and it gets a ton of likes, but it's not causing people to come buy your product. There is that mix of the brand awareness and driving sales. And so, that always has to be taken in consideration when you're looking at the numbers. Does that engagement flow all the way to the bottom of your funnel, And so never want to say that you shouldn't follow your gut. There's always value in those items. But at the end of the day, if we can't put a value to it, it might be time for a hard conversation.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think
like that.
that's always important to just sort of be honest with what the situation is.
Mhm.
When you are operating from a point of honesty, you're much more likely to sort of understand where the flaws and the successes are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I wanted to ask you with this whole thing, we also have seen a rise of automation tools. Um, ChatGPT is huge right now. Generative AI in general is just really big. I think AI has affected different industries in different ways. But when you are working with a client, when you're trying to help them, how do you balance the use of all of these new technology tools that are just going to keep getting more and more refined with the human creativity and the judgment side of, managing a campaign, sort of launching a campaign, planning, strategizing, the whole thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's an AI program for almost everything these days, which is exciting in some ways and in other ways a little scary. But I think the biggest thing for Delegator is we keep human first rather than AI first. When you're in the industry this long, we've seen these tools roll out in little increments over, you know, 5 to 10 years. And it's more in your face these days. But what we've really learned is that you need the human touch first and then place AI with it to strengthen it. I think that's the winning strategy that we've found. And also giving at the end of the day, the human knows the business the best. We know who our audience is. We know where our funds should be spent. That is down to you do it every day. But if you can use AI and partner those tools, whether it's within the platform or a third party tool to strengthen it, then I think you have a winning strategy. And that's what we've been telling our clients. That's what we do with our clients. So by no means shying away from AI. It's a powerful tool that is going to keep making marketing better, but keeping this human touch, number one. Oh, Danielle, I think you're muted.
Sorry. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I was just like yapping by myself. But no, I was gonna say that I think AI just hasn't gotten to a place where it can replace human connection, and human thinking in general. I don't know if it ever will. I don't want to knock on wood, but hopefully it won't. But yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I think AI is just as of right now, at least for me, it feels like it's a supporting tool. Um, it can help you with optimizing, with making things faster. It still can't replace, the entirety of some human aspects, like, to a degree, some stuff, but I feel like you still need people in the mix.
absolutely, and luckily, I think most people feel that way, and they can tell the difference between a caption that has that human touch and a caption that's very robotic, and so people they have that drive and that taste for, "I want to know a human is behind this advertisement rather than a robot. I wanna know when I pick up the phone, I can talk to someone." And so, thankfully, I think humans will keep humans first, and that'll keep humans first in advertising.
For sure, I mean, I feel like I have seen the sort of AI captions, AI emails where they're just so obviously fabricated by an AI bot, and most likely ChatGPT, because the thing is that if different people put the same prompt on, like, ChatGPT, they will most likely get the same results. So, it's even easier for you to tell if it was AI made, because if I go into ChatGPT and I say, like, "Come up with, like, an interesting game to play at a party," and then someone else does it, we're both gonna show up to the party with the same game. Right? Like, I think it's still just not sort of, like, curated enough to an individual. You have to be very specific when you're asking for stuff. So like you said, you could totally tell. You can see it from how extra it is too.
Yeah, and it doesn't have your brand voice attached to it either. And so
No.
your brand has this very unique and specific voice. ChatGPT isn't going to pick that up. And so while they might be a good spot to start a caption or start a blog post or start, whatever it is, you got to go back in and make it sound like your company.
Like, a ChatGPT, I don't know if it was around when you were in college. It was not when I was in college. I graduated from college in 2020. I know, horrible year, midst COVID, but we didn't have ChatGPT, like, in my college years, which were 2016 to 2020. Um, and I feel like it would have been great to have it at the time because it would have really helped me to get rid of the blank page type of situation. Um, and I think, like, it really sort of made me realize, because then I saw my younger siblings sort of they went to college after me, and they used ChatGPT for everything. I have, like, a younger brother, he was still in high school, and I would just kinda see him sort of using ChatGPT for everything, and it made me realize how much it had sort of affected, the studying world, because I'd been out of a school for a while, and I hadn't, like, sort of seen how kids were writing essays and stuff like that, and for a while, I thought, "Wow, ChatGPT really is, like, a game changer, like, writers gonna go out of commission." And then I started using it myself for work, and I feel like it's been really helpful. but I still feel like you said, like it's not something that I can just rely on for good.
Right, it'll speed the process up and, like you said, get you over that writer's block, 'cause the even get rid of that blank sheet, but you definitely should never just hit copy and paste.
No, no, and I feel like it's sometimes it'll be so cringy. I always tell this story, but I have used ChatGPT to help me reply to text messages in my personal life. I like one time I think I've told the story on the podcast before, but I'm gonna say it to you really quickly. I was kind of going on with this guy on like dates, and he had sent me some kind of quirky text, and I was like, well, I'm gonna be impressed. I'm gonna impress him. I want to like reply something that's funny too, because I want him to think I'm like interesting. And so I didn't know what to say. I go on ChatGPT and I'm like, okay, reply to this text in a funny and quirky way, and the replies that ChatGPT kept giving me were so bad, I didn't even use it, I had to come up with something on my own. Just wasted time there because like, the answers were so cringy, and I remember thinking, like, "How does anybody nobody speaks like this. If I send him this, he's gonna know that I used a bot. There's no way that he's not gonna know."
There's no way. Oh my gosh, they're a perfect example, human first.
Yeah, like you said, human first, totally important. Now, like, when it comes to obviously, you do have a lot of experience with digital marketing. Um, and I think we've seen sort of digital marketing take a rise with the rise of the internet. If you think to marketing back in, I guess when I was a child, like maybe like 20, 30 years before, it wasn't as focused on the internet as it is now. With the rise of digital marketing, what is like, I guess my question is, what are some of the unexpected trends that you see lately that are coming up? Um, and have they sort of flipped your perspective on traditional strategies?
Yeah, um, you're absolutely right, Daniela. Digital marketing has changed dramatically in the past decade, and it's just gonna continue changing even faster. I mean, I think back to my first role in digital marketing, we were creating I mean, most companies I worked with, we were creating social accounts for them, not because social media was that new, but because a lot of businesses still hadn't accepted how valuable being on social media was. It was still kind of viewed as a tool for kids or, a more personal use, and it was just starting to really pick up that businesses needed to be there, they needed to be present. Mm, and in today's world, that's not on anyone's mind. Everyone understands you start a business, you start a social page, you start a Facebook, an Instagram, a TikTok, whatever it is. And so it has shifted pretty dramatically. I think the biggest strategy change that has come with that is not so much. I mean, it went from, do I have to be on the socials? Okay, I have to be there. Do I have to actually post anything? And it's okay, I gotta post once a week. No, maybe 2 to 3 times a week. And now in today's world, it's you should post almost every day. And now there are some people who even say, well, maybe you post 4 out of the 7 days, but it has to be really good content. For a while, it was post every day, throw everything out there, and now it's you need to post good things, engaging things. Um, and so it's interesting, and really what drives these changes is consumer behavior. And so it's hard to predict where it's gonna go from here, but you kind of have to watch just what people are doing organically. Our great example, TikTok. I think no one really thought a ban would happen, and it was banned for, I think it was 24 or 48 hours, and so
Oh, his life is like 16 hours. It was a night.
so minimal, but still shocking that it happened, and even just that little amount sent all those consumers that spent primarily most of their scrolling time on TikTok to other platforms, and so you kind of saw a spike on Instagram and YouTube and these other channels that are now growing on popularity on their own. But it's that's kinda what you have to follow as digital marketing continues to evolve and everything moves with it, is just that organic consumer behavior, and that's what I tend to watch when I'm planning for strategy shifts.
I think like what was interesting with TikTok is that even with the ban and all of that, it's still sort of the social media platform that is currently driving all trends. I've noticed that I think you see something sort of start on TikTok, and then it'll sort of once it goes viral on TikTok, it starts to go viral everywhere. But it like, 'cause I've also, like, spoken to people who are like, "I don't like TikTok. I don't use TikTok. I don't care about the ban. Um, like, that's not gonna affect me. I'm on Instagram Reels," or businesses who are like, "Well, I don't post on TikTok. I just focus on Instagram," whatever it is that they're or Facebook, whatever. But I mean, a lot of like I see then what these people are doing, what these people are watching, and it's interesting to me to see like you might not be on that platform, like you didn't create a profile there, but you're still doing the video format from that other platform, right? You're using audios that came from that platform. And you're doing jokes and memes and all of these things sort of start there and then sort of get moved to the other platforms. And I guess they had tweaked a little because it is different in every platform, but I think it's really interesting how the the trendsetter right now is TikTok. I don't know how that's gonna change with everything. I know that it was a 75-day or 90-day extension, so I don't know what's gonna happen after that 90-day extension.
Right.
I think it's been really interesting to sort of see that shift in the last, I guess, 5 years since TikTok has been, like, popping.
Right. And you're absolutely right. I mean, who knows what's going to happen in the next 90 days? And that probably would be one of the most shocking things in digital marketing if a platform actually got banned and what that would do to all of those consumers. Where are they going to go? Because on
Yeah.
our at Delegator, we're all about running ads on these platforms. And so if TikTok shuts down, those businesses are shifting funds to other platforms. And so they want to shift their money to where people are going. So once again, that brings up new discussions. Do you spend more time on YouTube Shorts? Do you spend more time on Instagram? Is there a new platform that'll emerge and kind of take over? And so it definitely changes the landscape a bit.
Yeah, I saw some people, I mean, I saw that, like, when it was about to get banned, people were flocking to Red Note, which is the Chinese version of the app. And I mean, I think once TikTok was not banned, a lot of people sort of just abandoned it. And I saw that like it was also an issue with the US government because they were saying that they were also going to ban Red Note. It was like a whole thing. And I just kept, I mean, I saw it and I kept thinking like, wow, like this is like such a complicated situation that's, I mean, from a marketing perspective, I think whatever comes out of it is really going to affect that digital landscape. And regardless of whether or not you are an American citizen, I think it's going to affect it because the American marketing world is like I think America was one of the biggest markets for TikTok. Like they have like a huge amount of users there. And so the Americans leaving this platform is really going to change a lot of things, even for people who are outside of it.
Right. Absolutely. It's going to make platforms like Threads more popular. Reddit, they're seeing a spike in users this year. Even Pinterest just saw a spike in users. So, there's other platforms we probably don't think as much about because they're not one of the big three or so forth, but they're going to keep rising. They're going to keep getting bigger with these changes.
Yeah, they are. Now I also wanted to ask you within this whole, we're talking about digital marketing. Um, Can you actually think of, like, on the fly, maybe this I might be putting you on the spot again, but, when I think of digital like, I think we see marketing strategies not just on businesses, but people, right? We see a lot of celebrities going into TikTok and all of these social media platforms nowadays to promote their businesses, etcetera, or, like, themselves and stuff. Can you think of any sort of, like, whether it's an influencer or a TV show or a celebrity that have provided perfect sort of an example of how they've been using digital marketing to promote something?
Yeah, absolutely. It is. I mean, I think the one that comes to mind is definitely Taylor Swift. And I'm sure she'll be studied and her marketing strategies will be studied for a long time to come. But she is so, um, she has kind of set the stage for clearing her feed. So, one thing, she'll delete all her posts on Instagram, for example, to restart her feed, and her entire feed will have a color scheme to it. It, have little hints, those little Easter eggs she likes to do. And it's all kind of builds up. It lets her fans know, a new album might be coming or a tour, whatever the big event is. And it kind of builds up to that. And then while she's releasing it or going through the tour, the whole feed just follows the theme. Mm. It's so on, it's so perfect that it gets people excited. It hypes people up. She's promoting things with promoting her albums without even promoting them in a lot of ways. And she just like fully invests. I mean, and there's even, theories that she dresses differently based on the album coming out. She tries to color code her outfit. She tries to have that style focus on what's happening there. And so she's just a great example. And I'm sure everyone talks about her, and this isn't much news to a lot of people, but she definitely is someone to look at for her digital marketing strategies.
No, totally. And I feel like what's really interesting about Taylor Swift is that regardless of whether or not you're a fan, I mean, I saw so many videos and stuff about the Eras tour. People had outfits. Like the idea of her having eras is something that you're familiar with simply because her marketing is so big. And it's
Yeah.
huge. I mean, I've never been a Taylor Swift sort of huge fan, but I'm so familiar with her music and her, like almost all of her discography. It's insane.
Absolutely. I grew up during her country phase, and I haven't been a fan for a while now. But the Eras tour almost got me, it got me involved. I wanted to see the clips. I wanted, when they came to my 40, I went and checked it out because it was kind of nostalgic. I'm like, oh, she's doing all
Yeah.
of these country songs she hasn't done in decades. And yeah,
know what? Her show is like 3 hours long, like, it's insane. I know it's, like, very, very intricate. Regardless of what you think of her, I mean, I think what she does is, like, marketing-wise, it's very good. Like you said, I mean, the whole idea that she got a bunch of people to sort of listen to her Taylor's version thing, that's also really a marketing sort of success in and of itself because it's hard to get people to move from one place to another to do something, right?
yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great point.
I think, another person that I wanted to bring up that maybe had the opposite effect would be everything that has happened with Blake Lively. I don't know if you're familiar with that, and the Justin Baldoni thing. They have a lawsuit right now, but I think from the marketing part, what was interesting to me is that when, like, the movie came out, for everybody that's not familiar, that's listening, they made a movie called It Ends With Us. In the movie, sort of like it's about domestic violence, and then the movie, like she tried to do like so much marketing that was very fun and lighthearted, and I feel like it really backfired on her because it just kind of like what I saw was the public reaction being like offended that she wasn't addressing sort of this big social issue that the movie was addressing, and I think she wanted the movie to be kind of like when what Barbie was in 2023 when people were getting, like pink clothes and they were going to go see the Barbie movie, and she wanted people to sort of wear a similar style to what the character that she was playing in the movie was wearing and sort of how that be like the movie of the summer. And it was interesting to me to see how that marketing strategy just really it was a fit for them. It was so bad. Like I mean, Blake Lively got so much heat for that in opposite to sort of I guess what they were trying to do when they were doing all of this.
Yeah, definitely a great example of not knowing your audience. It, you, if you're going to go out and promote your business, you need to know who your audience is so you can talk to them in the correct tone and, not push any unnecessary buttons that might blow up in your face.
For real, and just, like, in general, we're a product, I think that's also important. If you're marketing a product that is for, like, I don't know, something, like, very, very, very delicate, you're not gonna make too many jokes about it because you know that people are gonna be really sensitive about it too.
Right, absolutely.
Well, Alexis, it's been great having you on the podcast today. I've had so much fun talking to you. Before we end it, though, I do want to give you the space to, number one, see if you came up with some horror story from your job. And number two, I want to give you time to plug anything that you want to plug. If you want to right now tell people to go find you anywhere because anything that we spoke about resonated with them, the space is yours.
Awesome. It was wonderful joining Fully Managed, Daniela. Thank you so much for having me. Anyone that's looking to contact me or, to talk more about PPC or digital marketing strategy, I can be found on LinkedIn under Alexis Young. I also, yeah, I suppose LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn under Alexis Young. That's probably the best way. Let's go ahead. Let's connect. Let's talk. Mm. As far as my most embarrassing story, I think I just have to go with the absolute classic. I've been in agency just about 4 years now. I work with a lot of different companies, a lot of different people, which is so lovely. And there is nothing more embarrassing than switching clients' names or putting the wrong email in the email box. And so I'll just keep it broad. I'll just leave it at that. But that's probably my most embarrassing client client digital marketing mistake these days.
Yeah, no, it's happened to me too so many times. It's like, oh, it's
Yeah, there's no bigger cringe than going back to your son and realizing it was not the right person.
no, yeah, and or I sometimes sort of make mistakes with the names, or with business names, right? Like I'll say like, oh, I really want to talk to you about your business, and then the business is called Happy, I don't know, Happy Tails, and then I'm calling it Happy Trails, or like I'm doing like stuff like that, or I'm emailing people like, hi Jennifer, and then the lady replies, my name is not Jennifer, my name is Sarah. I'm just like, I'm sorry.
Yes, it's such a simple thing, but there is nothing more embarrassing.
Yeah, and it's embarrassing, and I mean, I feel like people are gonna also have like an impression of you, but like
Um,
you said,
oh,
Alex, it was so
and
great.
y'all, can I redo without where to find me?
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, take two. Okay. Um, Thank you so much for having me today, Daniela, on Fully Managed. I've had so much fun with you. For anyone that wants to talk more about PPC or digital marketing strategy for your company, I can be reached on LinkedIn. My name is Alexis Young, or my LinkedIn URL is linkedin.com/Alexis Rose Young. So I look forward to connecting.
Awesome. I do look forward to connecting too. And everyone, I will see you guys on the next episode. Thank you so much, Alexis.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest, and to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend, and of course, subscribe.